Thank you to my Patreon and Tier 2 YouTube members. Find out how you can support in the description. The final shape was revealed, and with said reveal came the launch of Season of the Witch. It's been a pretty laid back season thus far, but holy f***, what is Eris doing? And as usual, with a new season comes new seasonal weapons, and that's what we're talking about today. The Witch weapon set is the topic of this video, and we're going to be going over each weapon one by one, discussing how good it is in PvE, and what perks you might want to go after. These weapons are drops from the 𝗧𝗏𝗠𝗏 Spire and Altars of Summoning activities, and just some friendly advice, if you are a solo player, I very much recommend farming 𝗧𝗏𝗠𝗏 Spire instead, as random players in the Altars of Summoning can be quite infuriating at times due to the potential difficulty spikes with offerings. Now, these activities drop weapons and witch engrams, which you can focus back at the helm for the specific item that you want, and like all seasonal content, you'll also periodically earn witch keys throughout the season that can be used for extra loot in these activities. Now that you know how to get the weapons, let's talk about how good they are, so like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let's jump into it. BRYA'S Love. The first weapon for the video is going to be BRYA'S Love, which is a 180 Void Scout that comes with quite the perk set, but if you're already an active raider in the game, you may end up passing on this one. I'll explain in a bit. Now, before talking about the main perks, I want to discuss the origin trait which comes with all these weapons called Head Rush, which states that standing up after crouching grants this weapon a brief period of improved handling and reload speed. And if you're wondering what this looks like, it looks something like this. And this is probably something that I'm going to activate on accident about 99% of the time, because I don't think I'm ever going to use this on purpose. Now, taking a look at the perks, we have some pretty damn good picks here. The first column brings with it Keep Away for reload speed when away from enemies, Loose Change, which will increase your reload speed upon applying an elemental debuff, Perpetual Motion for reload while moving, Shoot to Loot for picking up ammo, as well as Rapid It for faster reload after headshots. The second column brings with it a new perk called Precision Instrument, which will increase your damage as you hit precision points on an enemy, and this will stack up to 6 times to 25% extra damage, which is pretty good. We also have Explosive Payload for a flat damage buff, and Frenzy for damage and reload speed when in combat. And finally, we even have Destabilizing Rounds, which could pair pretty nicely with Loose Change. Now, like I said earlier, you might not be too crazy on this weapon if you're an active raider due to Doom of 𝗪𝗪𝗪 being an absolute phenomenal weapon from King's Fall. But BRYA'S Love does bring with it some unique roles that not even 𝗪𝗪𝗪 can get, like we talked about Destabilizing Rounds and Loose Change. I think me personally though, if I do end up crafting this, I'll probably go with Shoot to Loot and Explosive Payload. Kept Confidence. Finally, Bungie has heard our pleas and given us a 140 RPM strand hand cannon, and what better timing too, because the hand cannon buff just dropped and they're all feeling pretty damn good in PvE right now. And while Bungie did hear our feedback about wanting a 140 strand hand cannon, they kind of forgot to give it good perks. Yeah, so Kept Confidence rolls in the first column, Stats for All to increase reload speed after hitting 3 targets, Loose Change, and the second column features Collective Action and Multi-Kill Clip. So yeah, it is pretty damn bad. It really sucks because not only is this in a good archetype and it's an element that we haven't seen for said archetype yet, but the weapon feels and sounds amazing when you're using it in combat, but alas, the perks are just, in my opinion, a bit too horrendous to warrant using. I have a few buds of mine that have been using this one as of late, but for me, I'm going to steer clear and use my Fatebringer instead like any normal person would. The EREMITE. For those of you that are fans of the Techian Force from Last Wish, you might as well throw it to the side because allow me to introduce you to this fusion rifle. Although a high impact frame, this is the best fusion in the game when it comes to boss damage, and I'm going to show you why. This is because of the perk Controlled Burst, which also came with the Techian Force mentioned earlier. This allows your fusion to deal up to 20% more damage and have a decreased charge time by 10% if you land every bolt in your burst. This combined with another perk that increases your magazine, such as the newly buffed Envious Assassin, allows it to put out fantastic amounts of damage, especially considering the archetype. But exactly how much damage? Well, this is a head-to-head matchup between the Techian God Roll and the EREMITE at the Phrygia boss in Grasp of Avarice, and as you can see, the EREMITE was hitting for over 1.2 million damage. Now keep in mind that you don't want to use this kind of fusion only for boss damage, but instead use it as a last resort when you exhaust all of your rockets, for example. What makes this fusion even better than 𝗏𝗘𝗏𝗏, aside from the better total damage that I just showed you, is the fact that it matches elements with Apex Predator, one of the 2 best rockets in the game. Meaning that if you run out of ammo in your Apex Predator and swap to this fusion, and if you're running solar surges like you should for the extra damage, your fusion will continue to reap the benefits of said damage. Out of all the weapons in this set, this is probably the biggest recommendation, and I would not miss out on it if I were you. LOCUTUS. I'm just going to call it LOCUS. So you remember the thoughtless sniper rifle from Season of the Risen? You know, adaptive frames, stasis element, rolled with overflow and firing line. Okay, well, this sniper is basically that, word for word. The only thing that LOCUS does differently than Thoughtless is that it rolls with the new High Ground perk, which allows you to deal 20% extra damage while you're standing above another target. Aside from that, it's literally the same, and if you've wanted Thoughtless but never got it, pick up Lotus with overflow and firing line. SEMIOTICIAN. Here we have a Void high impact rocket, and before you write it completely off for not being an adaptive or aggressive, it actually comes with quite the perk combination that may make it useful to you in certain situations. See, Bipod got a buff recently which made the damage reduction of the perk not quite as severe, and instead it only knocks off 25% of your damage per rocket while providing you with 1 extra rocket in the magazine, 5 extra reserves, and even a higher RPM by 25%. When looking at the SEMIOTICIAN, it of course rolls with this perk, but it also rolls with field prep in the first column, which will ramp up your reload speed drastically when crouched and give you even more ammo reserves, making either your total damage output against bosses that much better, or making it the perfect rocket to bring alongside you in things like Void Burn GMs, where you just have such a high number of rockets that you can use them 24/7 without even thinking about running out. Aside from the fusion rifle, this might be the only other weapon in the set that I personally am going to set out and craft. It may not be an Apex Predator or Cold Comfort, but I still think it has its place in the sandbox thanks to the recent bipod changes. ELEATIC Principle. The final weapon in today's video, the ELEATIC Principle, is a 900 RPM arc machine gun, and it's pretty damn bad in my opinion. The only worthwhile 900 in the game, at least for me, is 𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 And while ELEATIC Principle comes with Target Lock or Adrenaline Junkie in the second column, its first column is just a whole lot of nothing. This is a weapon that I personally would 100% pass on, but if for some reason you might want it, maybe shoot for Zen Moment if you're on controller, and Ensemble or Eddy Current maybe, with the second column probably just being Target Lock. Again, not a weapon I personally in a million years would use outside of gathering footage for this video. Please don't waste your time. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for my review and God roll guide of the new Witch weapon set here in Destiny 2, Season of the Witch. Let me know what weapons you guys are personally going for and with what rolls down in the comments, and make sure to tell me what video you guys would like to see next, whether it be build related, weapon review, or guide, because I haven't uploaded in a while, a new season just dropped, and I'm trying to get as much content out for you guys as possible. You should be seeing a build video after this one, but let me know what else you guys want to see as well. Thank you guys so much for supporting the content and watching all the way to the end. Comment the word walrus or something if you made it this far. I really do appreciate you guys. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.